Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Kerry Regan. I'm sure most of you now know me. I'm a consultant working with UNECA. My focus is on supporting the work of the UN Regional Hub for Africa. And if you'll bear with me, I know my slides aren't in slideshow mode, so I can see what's happening on my other screen, and my apologies for this. I just wanted to quickly mention before we start this presentation that for those of you who don't know, the Regional Hub for Africa is a collaboration between National Institute of Statistics Rwanda and UNECA. Been around for a couple of years. 2022, it officially launched. It's focused on ensuring African member states are fully supported on their journey to modernize and transform their official statistics. There's a QR code on the screen that will link you to our website where you can find out more about us and find all of our pages which are there to support you. Okay. So as you know, today's webinar is the introduction to the UN data linkage tool. And we have three esteemed speakers with us today who are going to introduce this in different ways. Our first speaker today is Dr. Isabella Schmidt, who will be providing us with some context for the data linkage tool. Isabella is currently working with the UN Women. She is a regional gender statistics specialist for the East and Southern African region. She brings over 30 years of experience in international development and statistics. And Isabella is currently responsible for the regional coordination and provision of technical support to the UN Women's Gender Data and Statistics flagship project, Women Count. Prior to this role, Isabella was the Chief Director of Social Statistics at Statistics South Africa, responsible for overseeing the production and promoting the use of social statistics in the country. Isabella's portfolio includes gender, marginalized groups, education, governance, public safety and justice, housing and service delivery, tourism and transport statistics. So Isabella has joined us today. Wealth of information coming forwards. Thank you for being with us today, Isabella. Our second speaker today is Dr. Matthias Kupi. He will provide us with a demonstration of the new data linkage toolkit. Matthias is a demographer and statistician who has worked extensively in demographic research, statistical analysis, and capacity building across various international organizations, including UNFPA and UN Women. Now, over the years, Matthias has contributed significantly to projects focused on population dynamics, family planning, gender-based violence, and sustainable development goals in regions like West and Central Africa, Nepal, and Uganda. Finally, Ms. Denise Uwimbabazi will share with us the work undertaken to apply data linkage techniques in official statistics, and this is the bit we always want to see. Denise is a data scientist leading the economics data team in the Department of Data Revolution and Big Data at the National Institute of Statistics Rwanda. Her work focuses on automating survey processes where it's possible and leveraging big data sources and modern technologies to complement the production of official statistics. Denise has contributed to key projects, including data linkage for the Rwanda post-enumeration survey and population housing census, the use of satellite imagery for agricultural statistics, and the modernization of the consumer price index using new technologies. Sorry for the long introduction, but I'm very keen that our speakers are acknowledged and recognized for their background in this field. Here's the agenda for today. We have an hour. Isabella will provide the context. Matthias will do the demonstration and Denise will show the application. We will have a Q&A towards the end. We're going to try and hold all questions to that Q&A so we can allow our speakers to run through everything they need to. options for questions. There's a chat function, there's a Q&A function in this webinar, and you can also raise your hands during the Q&A session. We are recording today's webinar. I will be sharing the link to that recording once it's been tidied up. We'll also share all of the slides and any other important links with everyone who's attending today. I have talked way too much already. I am going to hand over to our first speaker, Dr. Isabella Schmidt. Are you ready, Isabella, to take the floor? I will stop sharing.
Yes, I am. So good morning to everyone. I'm really very pleasantly surprised at what the interest is like on this particular topic of data linkages. I think we are all ready to modernize our statistical systems, and the UN, particularly ECHA in Africa, is leading a process of helping national statistical offices to make the technological changes that are needed for us to benefit from the data revolution. And so I'm really pleased that we were able to partner with UNECA as well as UN Statistical Division on developing this toolkit, which was developed by Matthias. And I'm happy that we can share this particular toolkit with you. But before he shares, I also just want to share with you a little bit of the background. I hope many of you know about or have joined the Collaborative on Administrative Data, because that particular collaborative has a work stream that looks at linking data, interoperability, etc., from an administrative data perspective. At the same time, we realized that the Household Survey Group at UN Statistical Division had an interest in linking data, particularly linking data between survey data with administrative data, census data with survey data, and vice versa. And so out of this growing recognition that there are several role players who feel that there's a need to develop tools that we can use, practical tools that we can use to help national statistical offices increase the interoperability and linking of data systems. We started with the development of this toolkit, and we were very fortunate that we got Matthias to do this work. So we've tested the toolkit already in Kenya. As a result of the training that Matthias did there, he did various modifications, and we are about to embark on testing in South Africa with Statistics South Africa as well. So we would be very keen to hear your feedback and also your potential interest in receiving training on this particular data linkage toolkit. So with this, I'm going to hand over to Kerry again, and switch off my camera. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you, Isabella. I just took a call from Denise, who is struggling to join us with a camera and a microphone. Thank you, Isabella. Matthias, would you like to share with us a run-through demonstration of the toolkit?
Okay, so I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
And that you can also see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to Isabella for introducing this toolkit that I will present the main outline. So first of all, the toolkit is more general about data interoperability in terms of just not linking individual and administrative data, but also other kind of data linkage. Maybe before starting, it is important, first of all, to provide some introductory words in terms of importance of reliable data. So if we just take the case of SDGs, there are there are 169 targets for the 17 SDGs goals that need data to be monitored. So clearly there is a need of a massive need of data, disaggregated by gender for UN women, but for all the gender issues and challenges that people are facing, and also to identify and address gaps, especially for marginalized populations. So it is why UNDS, UNCA, and UN Women work on mobilizing survey and administrative data. These are some of the reasons. Of course, there are also all the other international agendas, national development plans that really need a lot of data. And why linking the data? The first thing is that currently there are some limitations regarding the current data collection. First of all, if we take the case of the survey and censuses, there is an issue in terms of periodicity for the census, in terms of sample size for the survey. So they are posing some challenges. And also some variables are very difficult to collect through survey or census. For instance, income is generally very difficult to collect, and some variables are collected with sometimes a lot of errors, like the profession, the fertility, and the mortality for those familiar with census data. So this is for surveys and census. And for administrative data, generally, their primary aim is not for statistical purpose. So there is a need to work on this data to first of all see how to process, to make them available for statistical purpose. And of course, administrative data coverage also have some challenges in terms of coverage rate, because it is generally, in most cases, it is only those who are taking the service that will be counted by the or recorded in the administrative data. So this is something that it is important to bear in mind. But the advantage, the value added of administrative data is that this kind of data, it is permanently updated. So because it collects some event at their occurrence. For instance, if we take the case of CRVS, we will see that mortality, CRVS is Civil Registration System statistical data. So data are collected when the event occur, like mortality, fertility. And for some, it will be more accurate. For instance, for income, since the income registry can just be, it is filled by enterprises, by the government, by in short, by all the employers that are paying income. So they can then transfer this income to an income registry that will be immediately used. So this is one of the most important things of administrative data. So now, that means that there is a need to integrate both administrative data and survey data. So because if it is integrated, then they can reinforce each other, or at least survey data and census data can take advantage of some accurate and frequently updated information that are in the administrative data. But it is important to mention that in Sub-Saharan Africa in particular, it is still an ongoing challenge. So there are a lot of challenges. But of course, as Isabella already mentioned, there are initiatives through UN Women, UNECA, and UNSD to make administrative data and survey data more available and to try to link the two types of data. So the objective of the toolkit was first of all, before doing the linking itself, it was to analyze the condition of making administrative data available for statistical purpose. And this is very important because given that the data is not primarily collected for the statistical purpose, it is important to make this data available for that. So, and then we develop different kind of linkage. The first one was the individual record linkage of administrative data and survey or census. So this is at the individual level using two approaches, both the deterministic linkage and also the probabilistic linkage. Then we also mention or address the geospatial individual to service linkage, given that there are more and more data that are available, geospatial data that are available, and also survey data, so this can be linked. And the third one was the data integration by combining administrative data and survey data to compute and monitor indicator in a more regular basis. And the last one was just a little bit a short remind on the possibility to also link survey data with aggregated administrative data at some level. So in this presentation, we will really focus on the first type of linkage, and then if we have time, we will also a little bit cover the other one. So first of all, regarding the analyzing of the condition of making administrative data available for statistical purpose, it is important to highlight the fact that national statistical offices are custodian of the surveys and census data generally in most countries, while administrative data is generated by various sectoral ministers, for instance, health, education. So that means that at the beginning, the administrative data are not hosted at the NSOs. This can be a challenge, and there are national statistical laws or other kind of memoranda that can formalize the use of administrative data, the sharing process, and all this can be done through the national statistical system. So, and what key consideration in terms of preparing administrative data for statistical use? It is the data. It is the first key consideration is the data security in terms of protection for misuse, the anonymization before data linkage. But this doesn't mean that before making data available, but this should be done in a way that, of course, it is still possible to do data linkage. So sometimes it is not possible to really anonymize before linkage, and that means that there should be an access, a control to the access to the data, restricting access to only few authorized people, persons that will do the linkage. And then after the linkage is done, or the data is made available for statistical purpose, then it can be anonymized again to be used by all the stakeholders. So the second thing also is in terms of it is important to also talk about the importance of metadata. That is really important in the metadata to mention all the different challenges that the administrative data can face. So both their strength and limitation. Of course, UNSD has developed a handbook that can be used to guide the use of administrative data and their integration with surveys. So it will be important for you to also take a look to that. And one example, especially in the African context, based on my own experience, it is the health system data that really integrates detailed data, but ensure privacy and security, and also have different level of security and accessibility. So this is a good example of kind of administrative data that has been made available for statistical purpose. So, but what is really missing in most countries, especially in African countries that I know, it is a real availability of administrative data transformed into a statistical database and hosted by the National Statistical Office. This is something that is still missing in a lot of countries. Of course, people will, when there are surveys, people will answer that, yes, administrative data are available for use. They are very good. But when comes the time to really access this data, generally it is very difficult, and there is no clear system as in Western country, at least the French system that I know very well, or other country also. There is no real system like that in a lot of countries. That is something that is missing, and that I would like to stress on. So let's now move to explore the different kind of data linkage that were made. So the first one is, as I said, the individual record linkage of administrative and survey data. And the objective of doing this kind of linkage, first of all, generally it would be to add new variable to the survey or the census. For instance, add the income or the revenue, for instance, correct or input existing variable in the survey. For instance, generally in surveys or census, date of birth or revenue can have a lot of missing value or incorrect value. So using administrative data, when there exists civil registration, can help cover recovering these variables. And also, the objective of the linkage can be to include new records in the survey. For instance, if we take the case of population and housing census, population census, generally we will see that some newborn can be omitted, especially those who died a few months after the birth. So using the birth register and the death register can help covering this kind of information. And the last case of linkage, of I would say individual linkage, it is to check the completeness of the census. For instance, in the case of Rwanda that will be presented, it is linking the main survey data and the post-enumeration survey to identify, to compute the census coverage rate. So that is something that can also be used, and there are also other possibility objective of linkage. So, first of all, for the statistical linkage, the statistical precondition are two. The first one is that the units from the two data base that belongs to the same universe. So this is a very basic, but this is just to stress on the fact that to do data linkage, we can't link anything. So it is important that we have data that are referring to the same subject. It is also important to have some kind of identifiers. That means that that variable that's held for matching, that are present in the available in the two data sets. So that also means that if we have data with no possibility to link, at the end of the day, we will not link that. So that is also important to mention. Of course, identifier can have errors, and that I would say the value added of the toolkit to explain how to do it in that case. First of all, the individual deterministic linkage, it is very straightforward. I will not spend a lot of time because it is what statisticians are generally using. But I would just like to stress on the fact that in this toolkit, we simulated a sort of, I would say, an administrative data set of 150,000 subjects with some few variables, linkage variables in terms of district, full names, place of birth, date of birth, place of residence, level of education, occupation, etc. And then we sample a survey of 10% of that database to simulate what, to do the example. So, and after doing that, after sampling, we then alter the survey data, because generally to do the linkage, especially the probabilistic linkage, it is because direct linkage cannot work. So we alter 10% of the survey data regarding the place of residence by just changing a character, because generally the difference will be in terms of a character that are in uppercase or lowercase. We also do the same for the name of the individual. And sometimes in the data, more importantly, there can be missing information. For instance, in our data set, we suppress 10% of the second name. And then in the last case, we also discarded 10% of the month and day of birth. So this was to simulate what we can generally have in some survey data, that's or it's administrative data, so that we can't link the data directly. But this kind of we can multiply the alteration of the data. So, and then of course we do some preparation that are straightforward in terms of data linkage. I would just like to highlight the important, especially when using this kind of fuzzy linkage, first of all, to at least reformat the different variables. When they are character variables, they should all be transformed into upper or lower cases. So that's really important. And then, of course, we implemented the deterministic direct linkage on R that was simple. It was just to show the overall process that is generally done when doing linkage. And then we continue with the probabilistic linkage for the unmatched cases. And now, regarding the probabilistic linkage, that was the real aim of the toolkit. First of all, of course, as it has already been said, it is used in the case where there is no unique identifier because of errors, because of some missing data on key variables. So in that case, the idea is to use probabilistic model to estimate a sort of likelihood that the records from different data sets are referring to the same entity, or here the same subject. Right, so it is just about using some statistical models. There are different kinds of statistical models that can be used, and that allow flexibility and do the linkage. So these are some of the features of the strengths of the probabilistic linkage. I think when you get the toolkit, then you will be able to learn about these different strengths of the probabilistic linkage. And then, of course, there are some challenges of the probabilistic linkage. I would say it is in terms of, first of all, complexity. So that means that to do it, it is important to have a little bit more skill in computing or in programming. And also, it takes a lot of computational resource, especially for large data sets, because given that we don't know which data will pair to which, it is a sort of, it starts with a cross product of the two data sets. So it can be very, very huge. It is also something that even if it is probabilistic, it is generally difficult to define a threshold, but so it can take time to find the right threshold that will lead to the good results, taking into account the different kind of errors that can occur in terms of false negative or false positive. So generally, to do that a little bit to make the algorithm working well, it is important as starting to have some variables that are free of errors that can be used to reduce the computational resource. For instance, when we have, if it is the census data, or if it is even any administrative data, and we think that until some administrative level, there is no error in terms of maybe the region or the district, for instance, then the district can be used as a blocking variable. That means that every district is merged district per district. That is very important to bear that in mind. So, and fortunately, of course, this is not done from scratch. There are a lot of packages that have been developed that you can test in different languages. I provided a table, a list in this presentation. I would just like to mention that in this in the toolkit, the one that was used is called RegLink 2. So it is a package that can be implemented, that is implemented in R, and it has some good features in terms of the speed, and yeah, in terms of speed especially. So, and it works very well, at least in this case. So what was the application? When it was applied to the data that I described previously, at the end of the day, it works very well because in 99% of the case, it was it detected the right subject. So there were only 7 cases that were not well linked. And then for that, generally it is advised to do then that kind of cases manually. So that what was done here. But given that this was a simulated example, it will be important to also apply that on a real world case example. But generally, we are expecting the algorithm to also work. So this was for the individual linkage. I will not spend a lot of time. I will just mention, given that we are running out of time, I will just mention that we also provide some advice or an approach for the individual to or household to service linking the deliverable point. And for that, we use the example of in the toolkit of the Kenya DHS census, and then the service provision assessment data to link using distance generally. So we use the geospatial linkage to compute distance and then link the individual to the nearest infrastructure, health infrastructure. Of course, there are other methods that exist, but we wanted to alert the reader about the existence of this. Another one was that is also important that I would like to mention. It is the data integration by combining administrative and survey data to compute a monitor indicator. So in that case, we use the idea was to adjust the modern contraceptive rate in Kenya using both the DHS and the health data. And we presented the methodology. I will not go through that, but generally it is about estimating based on administrative data and population projection, estimate an indicator that is biased, because we know that for administrative data it is just those that are taking the services that are recorded, the women who are taking service that are recorded. But if we have a survey that occur at some point for that year, we can compute the right indicator, and then we can compute a sort of adjustment coefficient for that year and for the indicator, and then apply the coefficient to adjust the estimation of family planning indicator for coming years, or for coming years, or even a little bit expand the indicator from the regional level to the district level, for instance. Of course, bearing in mind that it is based on the hypothesis that the bias is constant over time, but it is an hypothesis that can also be mitigated, of course, if we know for instance, the coverage rate in terms of service. We can also use that. And the last case that was also presented was about using the linkage of survey data and administrative data aggregated at some macro level. And for instance, in this case, in the toolkit, we just presented the case of DHS Kenya of 2022, and then the county gross product for all the country for that year. And based on that, the objective was just to link in the survey data the county of each, the gross domestic product of each county, so that it can be used to at least compute some indicators, at least to see if it is if the indicator that are computed at the county level, the survey indicator that can be computed at the county level, are correlated to the county wealth, for instance. So yeah, so that was the last example. All these examples are available in detail in the toolkit. So I hope the toolkit will be shared soonly, so that you can at least explore it more deeper. So in conclusion, I would say that data integration is crucial for effective policy making and SDGs monitoring. Leveraging administrative data enhances the accuracy and granularity of the indicators and issue. So, but there is a need for anticipating on linkage variable while designing census and survey. For instance, in Kenya, the ID number was asked during the last census. I think this is a good idea. And but one of the most important challenge is that it is important to make administrative data really available for statistical purpose. This is something that is really missing in many countries, both in Africa, in Asia even. And also to continue building robust data infrastructure and also capacity building in terms of training, capacity strengthening in data linkage. Thank you. I hope I didn't take all the time.
Thank you, Mateus. Thank you very much. There are some questions, but we're going to hold those questions until the Q&A, if that's okay, so that we give Denise some time now to share what has been happening at Statistics Rwanda. Denise, I hope you are now able to unmute, share your screen. We had a few problems there earlier. Our apologies.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Denise. I can hear you, which is a great start.
Yeah.
Are you able to share your screen?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Thank you, Denise. Over to you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Denise Mbawazi. I'm data scientist at National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda. Today, I'm going to talk about how we apply data linkage during the post-enumeration survey. I will talk a little bit about data linkage. As Dr. Matthias said, that it is a process of establishing on being able to know if the two records from different data sets relate to the same entity. The reason of using data linkage is that it uses less time and it is less costs because it doesn't need, there is no need to do new data collection for being able to do the data linkage. Even we are able to know if our data have a good quality. We can be able to check like duplicates and other things that are in our data. The stages of data linkage, we have, first of all, the pre-linkage, which deals with data pre-processing before doing the linkage itself, like cleaning the data, editing, and other pre-processing. Now we have the linkage itself, which deals with bringing the dataset together and being able to link the data. Then we have also the post-linkage, which help us to evaluate our linkage, how it is working, how it worked, if it's good or not. Then I'm going to jump on the post-enumeration survey we did in 2022. The post-enumeration survey normally is a survey that is carried out after the census. For the post-enumeration survey, we take a sample, a representative sample. Then from that sample, we can be able to know to measure the coverage or how the coverage of the census was. This also can help us to verify some of the responses, to be able to know the errors or to verify some errors from that were done during data collection. In Rwanda, the data linkage we used, as I said, for the post-enumeration survey, the PACE 2022, was to measure the coverage of the 5th Rwanda population and housing census that was done in the same year. The post-enumeration survey, the data collection for this Rwanda population and housing census was done on August 15th, and PACE was done 1 month after the census was started. So these two surveys, the census and the post-enumeration survey, were done for a 15 days period. This 15 days were also preceded by listing households, to be able to know the ID of the household that were being collected data from. This task also was made faster and easier due to the data collection, which used tablets. This was faster compared to the census and PES in 2012, which was using papers for data collection. Then here I'm going to jump to how we used the data linkage in the PES 2022. Here we created or we developed an algorithm with the support from the ONS UK. Then by building this algorithm, we created like match keys, or to be able to know if records have similar characteristics. So this was done at different stages, means from the households level, then to the enumeration area level, district level, and up to the country level. Here, among the match keys, we also used what we call standardized Levenstein and the Soundex edit in order to be able to find the errors that may be found in name due to maybe misspelling or errors in writing. For this matching, we did two types. We had the automatic matching. This one is where we define the rules that I called match keys. So from those match keys, the computer would be able to make a decision if the records are the same from the census dataset and from the best dataset. So it would say that the records is the same. So from this automatic, there was deterministic and probabilistic. So when, for example, the computer would not be able to identify if the record is the same, maybe if there is like some duplicates or not or from the PES or from the census, this would be conflicting. So from there, we would use what we call clerical resolution on Rhine widget. So this one would be able to help you to know from the human judgment. So this is like for clerical matching, which is the second type. So it will you will use human judgment to be able to know if the person is the same or different. So from this, we had many stages, as I was saying, for this matching. First of all, we started matching within the household. So from the household, we would be able to see if the person is the same. So after matching and getting those conflicts, the conflicts which were resolved using the crow. So the crow, maybe like this is how the crow was looking like, but this one is an example I took randomly. It would be, you would be able to tell if the records are the same. Like here we have this person in census is called Nadeja Hakiza, and in PES it is Nadeja Hakizimana. So from this here, from if the computer is not able to tell if it is the same person, you will use the human judgment and say, by looking by 2 other variables, if the person is the same. Like here, I have an example of a match key that we used, like the first name, the last name, the birth month and year, the sex and the location. Even we would use like the name of the head of the household to be able to tell if the person is the same. So this crow was used at every stage here. Then after the enumeration, after the matching within the enumeration area, we had the clerical review. This was not done by the computer, it was done by the clerical matchers. A few team of people who were looking at the data set and would be able to tell if the record is the same or not. Then after doing matching at all the levels, what we did is quality assurance, to be able to tell if our algorithm was doing better or not. So from this, we used precision and recall. When we talk about precision, we need to measure the accuracy of the matches that we have made, or the linkage that we have made, how accurate those matches were. Even for the recall, we wanted to measure the proportion of the matches that we made out of all possible matches that would be that were in the data set. So in order to be able that our matching algorithm or our linkage algorithm is well, we need to set higher targets for precision and recall, which is above 99.75. So in order to not impact the quality of the census estimates. But after doing this, finding these metrics, the precision and recall, we had not bad results. We had the net coverage rate, which means we were able to have the coverage rate, which was at 98.7%. Then our precision, which means our algorithm was able to match at 99.94, and it was able to find the recall of 99.98%, which means the algorithm was working well as expected. So what we achieved during this data linkage for the post-enumeration survey 2022 is that we used less time by comparing to the previous phase that was done in 2012. The one from 2012 took 6 months, but the one for 2022, where we used the data linkage, it took only 3 weeks. Then the other achievement is that the cost was really low because few people were involved in the process, and there was no need of many people to do the matching because the process was almost automated. Then another achievement, we were able to develop the algorithm, which also can be used elsewhere. As Dr. Matthias was saying, we can use it, it can be used for administrative data or other areas depending on the need. Also, the team of data scientists was enhanced with skills because they were able to develop the matching module, which helps to develop other modules. So I think this was my presentation. Thank you. If you need to know more information about how the PACE 2022 was done, we have a report on our website, on the NISR website, which is here on the bottom of the last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denise. And thank you to all of our speakers today. I think this has been an informative webinar. We have some questions. They have been gathering in the chat. Some have already been answered by people sharing some links. But if our three speakers are ready to take questions, we'll quickly do that now. We only have 5 minutes left. So we will, we may run over a little bit if that's okay with everybody, but appreciate that some of you may need to leave. But let's see how we go. I'm just going to read down through the chat. Jean-Claude says, good presentation, Matthias, thank you. Is it possible to share the data and R code for the two linkages? I think the answer is yes, but I'll let Matthias respond.
Yes, definitively, yes, yes. I think Isabella is still here and she will be able to share the toolkit and the code.
And if you share everything with me via email, I will then be pushing everything out to everyone who has attended today. So everybody will get the links, the same information.
Okay.
Thank you. You had some great feedback, Matthias. You had Elvino saying that from the Stat Institute in Mozambique, saying this is a very vibrant presentation. So well done to you on that. Jean-Marc, can this data linkage contribute to the other research company rather than the National Offices of Statistics? Is anybody able to answer that?
Yes, yes. The answer is also yes. This kind of, it is a statistical approach, right? So as far as we have two data sets that belongs for individual record linkage that belong to the same universe, then and have some common variables. So it can be used in different contexts, but the most important thing is that it has common key variables that with errors, as also Denise has shown for the case of post-enumeration survey.
Thank you, Matthias. Denise, you were asked a question about the sample size of the pairs, but Therese has shared a link there for Omar at the Gambian Statistics Office. So Omar, I hope that's enough for you, that all of the information is in that link that came after your question. Elvino mentioned that there's currently a new approach about pairs where you can implement the pairs during the census, allowing corrections to be made to this during the census. I think you were asked for further information because there's a question around independence with this sort of approach. I don't know whether we want the discussion here, but I don't know if anybody wishes to have a comment on this, of whether a PES should be undertaken during the census. It's probably a good half an hour discussion here.
We can't have the discussion here, but I would just like to mention that because I'm also a census expert, that generally it is after the census because it is a post-enumeration survey. So it should occur after the census. It should be as far as possible independent, done independently. But generally, it will be a little bit difficult. But another approach that is doing, but it is not about data linkage, it is for operational reason. The linkage can be done on the field so that in the case where there are some unresolved cases that we are not able to understand, you can still in the district and then go back to the household and ask, why are we seeing all these differences, and resolve it on the field. But that is after the census has occurred and during the post-enumeration survey with a linkage on the field. Over.
Thank you, Matthias. I think it is this point about maintaining independence between the two and then making the connections. Clearly, there's a lot to be discussed there. Omar from the Gambia again asked if there's any documentation around PES, this follow-up survey for the census. If any of colleagues who've been speakers today or any other colleagues on the call, if you have some documentation that I will be able to share to help support informing people who this is all new to, then please do share that with me and I will push it all out at the end. Ariando says, administrative data often includes personal information that's confidential in nature. Are there any tools or mechanisms that can be referenced to facilitate sharing of such data for statistical purposes while still ensuring the confidentiality of personal information? What standards must be in place to guarantee the privacy and security of the data? Anybody wish to come in on that one?
Maybe I can just say that, first of all, yeah, for administrative data to be shared, they should be anonymized. And there are different strategies of anonymizing. For instance, just putting, I would say, key variables or identifiable that are false in the final data sets that is being used. Now, for the data to be linked, to be clean and linked, sometimes it will be with personal information, but with very restricted access, just to few people that are doing the linkage. And once the link, and they are doing linkage also under, I would say, after some of assignmenting. For instance, if they release any information, they can go to the court. So that is also something that that is generally done. And when all the data is clean, linked, etc., then everything, all the individual information that can identification information are then suppressed for the data that will be released to the more extended public.
Thank you, Matthias. And Rachel has put something in the chat. I'm not sure if it was in response to that, and I'm not sure if I'll say this correctly. You can use separation of variables so that the data linkage teams see only certain variables and no analysis variables, while analysts see variables of interest, but none of the, I don't know what PII is, sorry, or P11. Rachel, I don't know if you want to say anything on that. Personal identifiable information. Thank you. Thank you. You can't come off mute. Apologies. Thank you, everyone. I think that brings us to the end of our questions. As I've said, I will obtain all of the links, all the slides. I will share everything with you, plus a recording of this webinar. I have put an evaluation form into the chat. I'd be grateful if you could all fill that in, because that helps us make sure the next webinar is even better. And I will be coming back out to you soon with information of our next webinar, which is around the CPI. We're looking at how web scraping can be used in CPI, and we're going to have a couple of the next 3 webinars will all be around the CPI and making improvements and automating the process and those sorts of things. So some good CPI webinars are up and coming. Thank you, everyone. Please, can we just say thank you again to our 3 speakers, to Dr. Isabella Schmidt, Dr. Matthias Kupi, and to Ms. Denise Uwimbabazi. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Let's sign off. Thank you.